Are you ready? Can crush us. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah. Can Crushers. Yeah. Can Crushers, let's go.
This is Amber Rodriguez, the Plague Doctor, the Mad Esthetician, and Can Crushers podcast just got perfect like me.
And welcome to another Can Crushers Wrestling Spotlight. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez. And yeah, this podcast is going to be perfect, Amber Rodriguez. It really is, because it's going to be seductive. It's going to be sexy. We're going to have a Loverboy on. We're going to have a dashing young man on. We're going to have the Brothers of Seduction on. Timothy Flowers and Ringrose. Yeah, man, these two are making waves in pro wrestling. Listen, Brox, Titan Troy, I'm part of the seduction section now. Yeah, I am. Seductive all the way here on Can Crushers. These guys have won me over from some of the homework I've done. I can't wait to hear the stories they have. I can't wait just to talk wrestling with them. But you know what we have to do first? Yeah, we have to pay the bills. We have to pay the bills and tell you about Collar and Elbow. Hats, hoodies, tees, all the cool stuff that Al Snow and the Hooligans have at Collar and Elbow. We have a promo code for you. That promo code is Can Crushers. All one word, crushed together. Capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. You'll save 10% off your entire order. That's pretty cool. You get the amazing cool shirts. Shad Gaspar shirt. My favorite, the Dusty Rose shirt. My other favorite, just the normal property of Collar Elbow shirt. My other favorite, the Al Snow and the head shirt that has the Macho Man glasses on it. My favorite, of course, I have a lot of favorite shirts from Collar and Elbow. I wear them each and every day. They're awesome. They don't stretch. They're comfortable. They're just great shirts. Ones that I've had from years ago are still brand new. So make sure you check out Collar and Elbow. You'll be happy with the product. So there it is, Al Snow. Again, promo code Can Crushers saves 10%. Where can you listen to us besides right here where you're listening now? Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We post it on Facebook so you can listen to it directly off of Facebook. Anywhere podcasts are, that's where you can listen to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Wednesdays is the Spotlight. Saturdays, you have our wraparound of wrestling for the week. Me and Sir Michael Jenks wraps up wrestling. We give you our opinions of what's going on. It's a great time, guys. Join Can Crusher Nation. You won't regret it. Join us on our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Join the discussion. Start a discussion. Bring some stuff to us. Say, hey, Mike and Mark, what are we talking about this week? We'll give you a little bit, but then you give us something back in return. We like that. It's almost time for another Ask Can Crushers. I know you guys like those. So start submitting your questions at cancrushers69@gmail.com or drop us a DM in any of those socials that we have out there. Guys, I'm ready to get seductive. I'm ready to be the leader of the seduction section. Right after we hear from Al Snow about Collar and Elbow, the Brothers of Seduction coming on the show.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
This is the hardcore icon, Just Incredible, and you're listening to Can Crushers Podcast. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best Can Crushers Podcast. Well, that, my friends, is just incredible.
And welcome back to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Guys, you heard how excited I was to have the sexiest, most seductive tag team in wrestling come on the show today. The Brothers of Seduction, Timothy Flowers and Chris Ringrose. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
I'm feeling great. Feeling nice, feeling sexy.
Fantastic.
It's been a hot minute since I've had a legit tag team on together. Everybody's kind of been broken up and everything. This is awesome that I have you both on tonight. So a little bit of a different spin and everything. We got to get into the questions first. And then let's just go hog wild. Because I know you guys want to go off and just tell fans to do some ignorant things.
Yeah, I already feel something brewing, honestly. And, yeah, you know what, Mark? I'll let you take it away. How about that?
You're already feeling something brewing. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I am really scared.
My hands are shaking.
That's just because you're on Can Crushers, that's all. The hype of being on Can Crushers is it.
Yeah.
The pressure doesn't get to me. The pressure doesn't get to me or Chris. You know, like, our first match was a main event match for the tag team champion against people that have been on this podcast and Brox Boulder and Titan Troy. And we put up a hell of a good fight. Seeing how we're not tag team champions now, it kind of is a bearer of how we are now, you know. I feel like it could have been a lot better, but I'll let you digress, Mark. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No. But we always say, especially in wrestling, I mean, you guys are still making money. The money's in the chase. Those titles will be yours in time.
Oh, for sure. Oh, it's just a matter of time for us. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
Brox and Titan have nothing on you two. They're two single wrestlers.
I like you. I like you. You got the right opinions here.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are a tag team. You've been there together through the thick and the thin. Listen, Titan is like Brox's lackey.
That's what
agree.
We've been saying.
I completely agree.
We've been saying that since the beginning. Oh, thank you.
And you go on his podcast first, though. So let me throw you under the bus there. Okay. What the hell is all that about?
Hey, he jumped to the invitation quicker. That was it.
Yeah, you know, he looked at us one day and he goes, "Hey,
I need views."
Exactly.
We have the second highest viewed podcast that his show has ever put out. And why? Is because we're the sexiest, most seductive, the prettiest tag team that FTC and the Art of Grappling have to offer.
We've had less matches than everybody there, and we're already one of the top draws.
Exactly.
Already.
You guys know. But let's do the rewind, because I do like these stories, because everybody has a little bit of a crazy story, and you guys can bounce back and forth. Who introduced each one of you to professional wrestling? Because I know it's always a fun story that, hey, my grandma did, or my aunt did, or, you know, somebody random introduces everybody to wrestling. Who was it?
Well, I have an interesting story for that. It was actually my middle school math teacher in sixth grade.
You win.
So he's been a fan of wrestling forever at that point. So when we were doing busy work in math class, while we were doing the work, he would put on Royal Rumbles up on the projector, and that's how I kind of discovered that. I was like, whoa, what is this? Hold on. This is cool. And then this was around network time, so eventually I would just pick up the network and started watching wrestling, and that took off from there. And then I feel like I really became more of an outside fan of wrestling around 2017 when New Japan started to blow up in the States. And then that's where and then from there I've just been watching everything that I could possibly watch. And that's
So,
it.
let me jump in real quick, Tim, and say, Chris, the first ever thing you saw was a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, it was Royal Rumble 2010. I remember.
Damn.
It was a good Rumble.
That's my favorite match. You call it a specialty match, you call it whatever. The Royal Rumble is my number one pay-per-view, or whatever the hell you call it nowadays, premium live event or whatever, of all time. So that's a great introduction to wrestling.
It's an excellent introduction because, well, you just see everybody. You see all these different people. It's 30 different people that you're seeing, and you're like, you immediately kind of pick your favorites. And 2010, I think CM Punk had his thing in that.
Yeah.
And that was a big one. Then Edge, and obviously, and those guys I gravitated towards in that Rumble, and I just like kind of formed my wrestling opinions from there forever after that one match.
We'll get to them, I'm sure. I already feel that you may be quiet in the ring, or you may be quiet at training or something, but I don't think you're going to be quiet on the show. I think you're going to be very vocal.
Yeah, something like that.
Once he starts talking, he doesn't shut up.
It's true.
What was your introduction?
Well, my introduction was, I was maybe 6 or 7 months old, and it's just, I was crying a lot, and my family had Monday Night Raw on. They just sat me in front of the TV, and I just shut up. And they told me the match that was exactly there. It was, I believe it was the Hardy Boys. And, so I mean, I think that's what like started my whole love of tag team wrestling and whatnot. But, you know, I sat and watched wrestling for my entire life. And, you know, at 3 or 4, I lived, breathed it. You know, I went to all the little shows that started popping up all over, my region of West Virginia. It was mostly, I had a ton of action figures. I had a huge like tote full of them.
Like a big Rubbermaid tote?
Yeah, a huge one. I still have it. It's currently in my closet. But
I do too, of mine and from the 80s, so that's okay.
I have some from the 80s. But
the LJNs are still my favorite all time.
I will agree with that. They hit different. I think they really hit different. But I started going to a lot more local shows when I hit like 7 or 8, because it was just right down the road. I could walk across the street and I'll be like, oh, hey, there's a little show here, and I'll go see it. And it's where I first saw Ricky Morton and his bad time. I'm so sorry that I forgot his name. Robert Gibson. Robert Gibson. Wow. I feel horrible for that.
You should. That is one of the greatest tag teams.
Yeah. And here I am saying that I love tag team wrestling, and I can't name the other half of the Rock and Roll Express. Man. But yeah, I just gravitated towards wrestling my entire life, and it's been a coping mechanism for me. It's definitely made me the person that I am in the long run. But
so tag team for you, Chris, how about you? Were you instantly, because you saw the Royal Rumble first, and I'm going to beat that to a dead horse. You didn't see a lot of tag team right off the bat, especially if math teacher buddy was continuously showing Royal Rumbles. You went CM Punk and Edge right off the bat. How does that go?
Well, with the Edge and stuff like that, I did kind of, through the path line of Royal Rumbles, I somehow ended up on like TLCs and the classic, much like him, the Edge, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, the Bubba's, you know, all those guys. And then it just kind of, obviously, I don't know who my favorite tag team is now. I'm thinking about it.
You're reading my notes and you can't even see them. That was just gonna say, both of you, who's your favorite? I'm gonna throw it 3 ways actually. Who's your old school favorite tag teams? Because I know you guys have done a lot of tape studies. So you brought up the Rock and Roll Express, and listen, I'm throwing the Hardys in there as old school now because it's done. But that's just my opinion. Old school and like new school. Who are your favorite tag teams right now?
That's I have a few off the top of my head. I'll let Chris think his out, but I'll go ahead and name off mine. There's the Fantastics. They're absolutely great.
They don't get enough love.
They don't. They are fantastic. There's the Freebirds, obviously. I love the Freebirds. I aspire to be Terry Gordy in the sense I'm kind of a big man. It's just Terry Gordy doesn't get enough love himself.
Agreed.
The Eliminators, ECW.
We were just talking about the Eliminators.
Yeah, we were talking about them. New School, I will definitely say. There's Aussie Open, just hard-hitting tag team, absolutely phenomenal matches. Like just fantastic, just all the way through. And I really don't know. There's just too many tag teams now that just don't get enough love, and there's a ton of tag teams back in the day that don't get enough love.
Agreed. Before Chris answers, WWE is struggling with tag teams right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you've picked New Japan, maybe some that crossed over into AEW, and some that are still lingering. WWE's tag team situation is blah. Back in the day when it was the Bulldogs and Hart Foundation and Demolition and all those guys, that was the greatest tag team era. Because even in NWA, you still had the Midnight Express, Rock Express, and all those still going head to head. That was the greatest time. It has been a couple years now in the making. AEW is really showcasing tag teams. So, yeah. Chris, go ahead. Who are some of your favorites?
Well, old school, I'm kind of bait. I like the Road Warriors. I like Edge and Christian. I really liked Edge and Christian back in the day. They were some of my. It always comes back to Edge. I've talked about Edge a lot.
It really does. I get that.
Well, yeah, Edge and Christian, and then kind of the mid 2000s where I liked TNA tag teams a lot. So Beer Money, Motor City Machine Guns. I love Motor City Machine Guns so much. And then modern tag teams. FTR is just they're great. Briscoes, rest in peace. It's just those guys were like the tag teams for me in the modern day. They just had their classics the other year. It was amazing.
They really did. The dog collar match between FTR and the Briscoes, again, rest in peace. I don't know if we're going to top that tag team match in the next 20 years. I don't care.
It's hard. Also New Day. I had to bring up the New Day.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. They're really not, nothing that because they're injured or anything like that right now, but they're more of a spectacle than a tag teteam anymore.
Yeah.
They're just a whole freaking show.
They're just so great. Every one of them.
Yeah.
I've been, this is kind of off topic of tag teams, but I think Xavier Woods just needs to win the title at some point. I want him to win the title more than anybody. Cause I think I think they're all so good and they're all deserving of it. And he's the only one that needs it. So.
Yeah, he is. So you guys all find wrestling at a young age and everything. You watch it all through, but what did you guys do? Because I know you're both going to say, I knew I was going to wrestle at the age of 3 or 6 months or whatever. But how did you get there? What did you do in high school? Because I always say we had that path in high school, have it be somewhere in sports, or I'm a drama kid. That's why I like the mic. I understand all of that. What did you guys do in high school to kind of get ready to transition into wrestling?
Do you want to take it, Tim, or I can go first? It doesn't matter.
It's up to you.
Okay, so, I'll go. I like talking. So, for me, it was high school wrestling. That's what I did. I did amateur wrestling in high school, all 4 years of high school. I knew it wasn't pro wrestling, but it was something I was like, I want to try this. I want to do this. And in the back of my mind, pro wrestling was always there. And I was really proud of that time as a team, because it went from a very small program, and like me and a couple other guys, we kind of led that to being a much more populated program. And it was a really good time, and we were all very successful. Now it's a very successful program. And then from there, it just became like, just one day I was just like, I want to seriously look into pro wrestling companies, what I want to do to train. And I stumbled upon FTC, and then I was like, I'm doing that. It was kind of like on a whim. I was just like, you know what? No more thinking about it. I'm going to do it. And then I went and did it. Now I'm here.
During your amateur days, because listen, I had a singlet when I was in JO wrestling. I don't know what they call it around you guys. It was like Junior Olympic. I put Macho Mark on the back of my singlet
Yeah.
I was more like a Malky or somebody that lost all, I hate the word jobber. Maybe like Al Snow. There you go. Hi, Al, if you're listening. I was more part of the job squad wearing Macho Mark on my singlet. I felt like I was, 10 foot tall and bulletproof because I knew at some point I was going to get into the business, and this little kick in my ass. Listen, I really sucked, guys. I never say this on air. This is the first time I think I brought it up. I sucked. I was a big fat kid that once I was down, I was down. So, but I was pumped. I was there. I was getting into my wrestling shape. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, how about you?
Well, I have a similar background to Chris. I wrestled all throughout middle and high school, and here or there I took jiu-jitsu classes, but it was always in the back of my mind. It was just, I think he copied my story word for word. I was laying in bed one day, and I can't remember. It was like midnight, 1 a.m. and I was just looking through wrestling schools, and I was like, I wonder if I text these people and these people, because where I had been to a ton of wrestling shows locally, I had gotten to know all the wrestlers and all the workers very, very personally. Like, I had a few that were actually related to me family wise. So, I mean, I just started talking to them, and they just kept pushing me down the line until FTC and AOG came along and started talking to them, and well, they just basically took me with open arms, and
now it's a family.
Yeah, and now it's a family 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows we talked to Brox and Titan and Sarah and everybody, and I want to get this from you guys too. I want you to give, because Bobby Blaze doesn't get enough love. I will throw this out there. He doesn't get enough love from his days in NWA, WCW, and all that to now. Everybody's like, oh, but this now resurgence with you guys. I'm going to say the whole, AOG, FTC, all of that. You're bringing his name back up, and he's getting that pat on the back that he deserves.
Yes.
So individually, again, talk about what Bobby and your other trainers have done for you, because without them, and we're a strong component of this on Can Crushers, that without them, well, you're not on the show today and you didn't have a first match yet.
I truly believe if Bobby wasn't training me, I would be nowhere near ready to wrestle where I am, even by this point, because I've been training for about a year. And I don't think if Bobby was not training me, if other FTC guys weren't training me, I don't know where I'd be wrestling. Those guys are amazing, and they know everything. And they're just, I admittedly, I didn't know much about Bobby going into FTC, but I looked him up and I was like, man, this man is incredible. And he definitely should have had more of a name than he ever did, but
he really,
I respect him so much. I respect him he had his last match recently, went out and it was amazing. I was up in the rafters screaming
as well.
It was my head
fantastic.
It was amazing. I just so much. Again, I would not be anywhere near where I am right now if it wasn't for him.
I 100% agree. I mean, Bobby pushed both of us to be what we are in the long run. Like us being, like, as a tag team, he's pushed us to where he thinks that we need to be, and he's going to push us beyond that. He wants to push us to 11. We're at 8. He wants us to be as good as the tag teams that we've mentioned. He wants us to be just the new breed almost, like we need to, I hate to say that local professional wrestling died out within the past 3 to 5 years, but it's definitely been on a decline. And I feel like with the resurgence of local promotions coming out and new talent coming in, young people like me and Chris, I hate to pat both of us on the back.
Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Come on, sexiest tag team in wrestling.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, you have to, Tim. You have to pat yourself on the back, because that pat on your back also pats Bobby on the back. And listen, both young into the business, so first step is to take over FTC and all of that, and your locals. I'm just gonna skip all over the place because it's just the way I do most of the stuff. Bobby wants to see you guys on Dark soon. I mean, it's real life, He wants you on Dark. He knows the baby steps that once you get on Dark, then you get to go there and there and there and there. It just opens doors. And with somebody like Bobby in your back pocket, it's very feasible real quick.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
So let's talk a little bit about training, and because these are where the stories really come out. As you walk into training for your first day, did you get that, oh my God, feeling? What am I doing here? Or this is a lot. And then tell me how you felt after the first day of training. You're like, shit, I'm never going back there again. That beats the shit out of me.
First day I walk in, and Bobby, I remember it was just Bobby was sitting outside. He's like, who are you? I walked in. I was like, I'm here for wrestling. He's like, well, get in there. And it was just, they threw me right in, and just that feeling of getting in the ring for the first time and just looking and like, oh, like, holy shit, it's me. I'm in the ring, not just watching someone in that ring. It's just like, it's a feeling that you just can't, it's a special moment that in my life that you can't recreate,
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I was like, damn, this is hard.
I'm sore as hell.
I'm sore as hell, but at the same time, I don't want to stop doing it. I want to come back. I want to do it again and again and again every day. And
it's that good sore. It's the good sore. The youthful good sore that it goes away very quick.
It's wrestling is poison to my brain, because it's just, no matter what I'm doing, no matter how important it could be to anything else, it's just like, it's always on the brain. I'm always thinking of things. I'm always thinking of what I want to do. And it's just constant. I always want to be back in there doing stuff.
Some say wrestling, and I will advocate for this, is a sickness. Once you're in. That's all you think about. Like, I'm on the back of the garbage truck. I'm like, all right, I know I have this coming up on the show, but wait, I have to ring announce here. And I'm just thinking, like, how I'm going to turn my, announcer persona into something else. And I'm forgetting to do stuff at work, because wrestling is the only thing that matters. My wife will say, will you take a break because your son is getting his driver's license? You want to be part of that? Unless he's at a wrestling match in the back of that car, probably not.
Oh, yeah.
So did you have kind of the same kind of feeling on that first day?
Yeah, a little bit. I do remember the day pretty well. I showed up like maybe 15 to 20 minutes late, because we were looking for the place.
You're that guy. Big show on the first day.
I mean, what had happened is we looked at the directions, the address that was on the Facebook page, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go there. So we went there, and it was at the old school, and I'm like, I have no clue. We're in like a dingy, like a loading dock, and I'm like, I don't think this is the right place.
We had just moved schools. I was there. I showed up right at the end of the old school, and then he showed up right at the beginning of the new school.
So I get there 20 minutes late, and they're like, oh, so you're the guy who we've been talking to. Okay. Get your shoes on. Get in the ring. Do you know the bump? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not like that, but like it had a similar tone to it. It was just like
they throw you in.
They throw you in, but with open arms. They're ready to catch you if you fall. Like it's definitely one of those things. It's like, I don't think I'm ready for it. And then you get in there and they're like, maybe I'm ready for it. And then you leave leave after like 3 or 4 hours, and you're like, maybe I'm not ready for it. Maybe my knees have a better outlook than I do, like just blow my knee out every time I stand up. But
For real? Have you done it on a DL already?
I'm not.
No.
Well, I haven't been on the injured list, but I've just
Maybe should have been.
There's times where I was just, ironically, I'll explain to you how I hurt my knee the last time. This is completely off topic. I slid into the ring. That's all I did, is I slid into the ring, and the pad, like the ring mat, just was a little bit off, and I smashed my knee right on the metal and proceeded to work the rest of a gauntlet match.
Dang.
So it was just like,
You did good in the gauntlet match.
I did do good in the gauntlet match. But then we decided to do a 2 out of 3 falls tag team match the next day, so it was just like, gotta love that, you know?
You bent in half. So for both of you guys, what was the hardest thing to, because listen, you both have wrestling in your background, you're both uber young, that, you know, the bumps and the bruises can bounce back. You understand that. What was the hardest thing for both of you to grab? Because listen, I had to run the ropes, and that sucks. It really does if you do it wrong. Were the ropes horrible? Is the mental, you know, the whole putting the match together? What was your roughest thing to concept?
For me, and I think this is still partially an issue for me, is expressing myself in that ring a bit more. I've had obviously technical stuff, and like there was issues there, but I feel like it's how my emotions are portrayed in the ring and how I'm doing it. That's where I have the most struggle currently for me, is selling and stuff like that and those kind of things with my face and everything like that.
Yeah, I do have a few, like, of the similar things. It's mostly technical for me, because I see it as, like, Chris is definitely the Rob Van Dam to my Rhino, you know, like, so much so that he does use the Rolling Thunder. I mean, it's one of those things, you know, but like with chain wrestling, I'll put in a headlock a little wrong, and I'm just like, damn, you know, like I knew that I messed it up. And then let's see, there's just a lot of things that I can't get through my head that I've seen so many times. But
easy things that are forgotten.
Yeah, it's like I run the ropes a little differently. Some call it like the lucha style. I'll put my hand on the middle rope and the hand on the top rope. They say you could do it, but I mean, it's going to be a pain in the ass to forget it, you know, like, depends on who you are, but I think that's just a style thing. But, that, and I do have a really bad problem with like putting matches together, in the sense of I need to figure out psychology a little more too. I think it's mostly that, because I think that I need to get this, and this done within a very short amount of time. But that short amount of time just got blasted down to, say, if I need it done in 3 minutes, I'll do it in 30 seconds.
Procrastination.
Yeah, procrastination. It's, I have all that time to work it out. Like, if I need 3 big moves, I can do it in 15 seconds. And then I'm like, well, what do I do now? You know, like it's the dead air. The dead air in radio, getting ahead of myself, you know, it's mostly that.
It goes back to the selling. You know, if you're going to do a power bomb, sell it for 30 seconds, because it's, you know, look at Wardlow. He'll do a power bomb, and then he does that symphony, and listen, that could be construed as dead air, but he's just making a mockery of himself. So if you're just grabbing power bomb and then big knee, and then you're like, oh crap, we got 7 minutes left in this match. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
I'm just work heat, I guess.
Beat him up more. That's all you got to do.
How did you guys, this is where we come together now. When did you guys become the sexiest, most seductive team in professional wrestling? How did the Brothers of Seduction start? One was there a little bit ahead of time. Did you guys gel right off the bat as you walked in? Or some of the best teams are put together years down the line. And by the way, you said Rhino to RVD. You should have wrapped back around and said you're the Robert Gibson to his Ricky Morton, just to show the name.
Okay, that should have been a good callback.
Yeah. I'd say, we immediately gelled. We immediately connected really quickly after he showed up. We share a lot of common interests. Is the first thing we connected about. We got a dog yelling in the background over there, but
that was a motorcycle. God.
Oh my God. Well,
it was through your house apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. We immediately connected. We bonded really quickly. We became friends really quickly. Shared interest was immediate, and then shared love of wrestling, like shared similar loves in wrestling. It immediately came to mind, and then the Brothers of Seduction started. Because, well,
there's a story here, so spit it out. This is not PG.
Do you want me to say it, Chris? I'll get it out of the way.
You tell us. I think you tell the story better than me.
So, it was a night we were. Do you want me to break kayfabe? I can break kayfabe.
Are you? I'll put it this way, because sometimes we've been good so far. I'm all right with whatever, but don't get yourself in trouble. Like, if Bobby's going to jump on you, don't.
Bobby won't. I'll say it like this. So, we were at a student's bonfire after a show. And we were just sitting there hanging out, and somebody who was a little bit intoxicated.
These are the best stories.
Looks across
people on Can Crushers.
Looks across the flame, and me and Chris are standing there, and he goes, "Stand closer together real quick." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Take your hair down." So I took my hair down, and he goes, "Are you two brothers?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Are you two brothers? You look exactly alike." I go, "No, we don't." No, we don't. And it was, for the rest of the night, it was like 11 o'clock. It was up until like maybe 3 a.m. of him just going, "You two look like brothers." And everybody else is like, just finally just giving up and just going, "Yeah, you two look like brothers." And out of nowhere, he goes, "The Brothers of Seduction."
I mean,
I was like, "That's good." Perfect.
Yeah.
I was like, "That's good."
Really good.
We are the sexiest, and
we are.
Like we kind of already knew that before even the bonfire. Like we kind of already knew.
Listen, I'm 275 pounds of pure love and seduction, and I'm I knew it all along.
It takes that outside influence just to give a little bit of tweet. In wrestling or out of wrestling, just somebody to help with a character development. And then look at you two sexy ass bastards right now.
Exactly.
You know it.
So you guys have brought up that you share. We're going to take a day off of wrestling. You don't train. There's nothing going on. You're forgetting wrestling. And it's hard to do. You're forgetting wrestling is around. What are some nerd out things that you guys do? You clearly hang out together a lot. I see that. I can tell it already.
We need to hang out more.
Yeah, we do need to hang out more.
We've been
honestly.
busy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been school. School's been my thing. He's been working.
School.
I know.
Look at us, Mark, working blue-collar jobs.
Right?
Look at us.
God.
Look at this freaking scholar over here.
Too sexy to be in school. I don't.
What do you guys enjoy? Are either one of you video games guys, music,
video games?
I'm
both of us.
Yeah. I work a lot. I just genuinely I have like 3 hobbies, and one of them consumes wrestling, the other one music, and the other one video games. I'm just
pretty similar in those ways.
I work. It's just, if I'm not at home after work, I'm at work or I'm at training. So it's
a wrestler's life. It really is.
Yeah.
So, how many matches together do you guys have under your belt?
How many are we at now?
Well, like combined?
Yeah.
Combined, I think, Chris, you have 2 singles, right?
Yeah.
You have 2 singles. You have our first match. There was...
It's like somewhere like 15 to 20, I think.
Yeah, 15 to
combined.
20 in total.
I had to take a guess.
For being essentially first year of wrestling, you have that training that you're in wrestling, but you really don't count it for matches. So first year, that's great. That really is.
Yes.
And then, essentially, listen, you got that first match battling Brox and Titan out of the way. You're going to continue to beat on them for a while because they're bums.
Exactly.
What are your goals here in 2023? Before we get some of the harder questions that I love to ask.
Well, firstly, win the titles, of course. Yeah. Very obvious. Then, after I win the titles, I just want to beat up Brox and Troy more, as much as I possibly can. Those guys are bums, like you said.
Honestly, I don't care if we have the titles anyways. I just like beating them up.
Well,
it's mostly
nice to beat them up with the titles.
I never thought of that. I never thought of it.
And then also, this may be more towards the end of the year, but I want to work maybe some promotions outside of FTC. It's just some more local, different promotions, and see where we can get more exposure out there.
Get a bigger footprint of the seductive. We need a seductive section. Is that can we get a seductive section going or something?
Seductive section. We have an inside joke of the seduction world order. It's gonna run wild one day. Yeah, it's an ever-growing group. There's like 45 people in it, all alternating. It's just one of those things, But I agree with Chris, and I would like to expand more. Let's see. There's one thing that I would like to get out of the way, Chris. Sorry, I know this is a tag team podcast here, but there's the AOG championship held by somebody at the school, Caleb Throne. Don't know if he's been on the podcast or not, but I'm sure that he should. I'll jinx it. But I would like a chance at it. Honestly, I feel like, look at me, look at him. He's a freak that wears face paint. I don't need makeup or anything to look pretty, seductive, sexy. It's fantastic. I don't need to throw myself off of the top rope like a maniac. I don't need to jump off of anything, to be fair. The only thing that I need to hit is a Vader bomb, and I'll go home. I'll go home with the title.
I'll let you know, my first match was a singles match for the FTC title, not the AOG title, the FTC title. And it may not win my way, but for a first match, who else can say they were competing for the biggest title in the promotion right off the bat?
First match?
First match?
Yeah. That sounds like you have a little in the booking. Like, can I call you out on that? First match? Come on.
I can't say any more than what I've said here, but first match. And then my second match was the tag titles with him over here.
This is the person to strap on to, Tim. This guy's going to keep getting title matches for. Listen,
that's what I said.
I'm on your side, but for doing nothing to start, you're just here's a title match. Here's a title match.
I'm destined for titles. I don't.
Little John Cena over here.
that gauntlet match that we were in, we were both in a gauntlet match. It was for the number one contendership to the AOG championship. And I will say, what happened between me and Chris was an accident.
We had a little mishap.
He left his jacket in the ring, and I got counted out. That was completely an accident.
I went back to get it. The ref got it's
a long story. It's a long story.
I do got to talk about this. Psych ward immediately after. The next person in the gauntlet match, he comes in, bites my hand. Bites it. And you know what? Not a DQ, not even a 5 count. No DQ, no nothing. Of course I wasn't gonna, how was I supposed to do anything when he was biting my hand? Illegal.
You did submit to it.
Yeah, because he's doing illegal stuff.
No tension here. No tension.
No, not at all.
I blame the ref. I blame Mike Poindexter, the referee.
Referees. Ugh. You can't have wrestling with them, and you don't want them around.
No.
So, you guys, like I said, wrestling for about a year. So you guys have been through some ins and outs, some locker rooms and stuff. In wrestling, even across the board, from when I was a little guy and you guys were nowhere to be found to now, there's a stigma with wrestling that, sometimes it's dirty, sometimes there's schmucks in the locker room, da-da-da-da-da. You know all of them. If you could eliminate one right now, just to make wrestling better for the talent, the promoters, the ring announcers, the fans, because what would you eliminate from it?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
I'll take this one. I'll take this one first. Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just completely blanked out for a minute. I heard it. I was listening to it. I got the question. It's just, I said I'd take it and then it went with it. But, there's a politics, mostly just if, say, if you're in with the booker, if you have a title match every week and you're getting paid more than everybody, I don't know if that's just me where I'm so new in the locker room or whatnot, or I'm just a freak like that. I don't know if it's just like, you can't talk to me like that because I'm the booker's friend,
Yeah. That's actually been brought up a lot recently. So I think maybe politics have made their way around a little bit more this year. Maybe that's at the tail end of last year because of that same thing. A lot of the talent that come on the show is saying politics is kind of stepping up a little bit. And that's one of the big things that just needs to stop because, listen, you two are there, and as much as I'm throwing heat at Brox and Titan or Sarah or anybody, everybody's there to make us fans forget reality for a while. It's a freaking show. You're there to win championships and all of that, yes, but you're there to have fun and put on a great show for the fans. It's essentially what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And if you have one person politicking to get title shots all the time, listen, us fans get sick of it too. So, yeah. Chris, what's yours?
Ego.
Yeah.
Thinking you're better than you are. Now, me and my brother, we are good. So we're the best tag team, so we have room to talk, but there's some guys out there, they think they're better than they are and they talk a big game, but that's all it is just talking. You know what I'm saying?
They can talk the talk, they can't walk the walk.
Exactly.
Nice. I like to know, before we actually just talk wrestling for a little bit about what we like that's going on and everything, I would like to get to the dream matches that you guys would like to have. And let's do some local ones. We've said we want to see you guys beat up Brox and Titan again. Who else in and around your organization that you'd like to grab? But then let's go and say, hey, do you want to take – the Hardys are out there. The Hardys are out there. Do you want to take on the Hardys? Do you want – maybe the Dudleys come back for another show. Heath and Rhino. Rock and Roll Express is hanging it up, Tim. So it's got to be quick.
Yeah.
Locally, there's a trio. There's a SRO, Seth Martin, Noah Ray, and Shane Storm. All three of those guys are some of the greatest that the tri-state has seen. Seth Martin is a phenomenal worker. Shane Storm is he's trained by Bobby Blaze. He knows what he's doing. He's fantastic. Noah Ray is, I think, one of the best big men in the tri-state right now. He's a humongous guy. All love to him. But I feel like I think I could 100% take him in a match, of course, but locally that let's see. I think I would like to work a match with Dirty Dogs, Dolph and Bobby. absolutely fantastic heels in their respective categories. Both humongous parts to the wrestling business today. Bobby just being a fantastic worker in everywhere that he's been. Dolph being a team player in WWE for as long as I've been alive. You know, they're both great.
Yeah. Same question, Chris.
Locally, I'm more on the singles match side for local guys, and a lot of it is still within FTC. I'd like to have a match with Caleb Throne. Obviously, I want the title. Secondly,
if you guys would see with him, this idiot throw his hands up in the air and like, fuck this.
Well, I want the title too, Tim. Okay.
I want it first, but go ahead.
Whatever. We're co-champs when we win it. It doesn't matter.
Freebird rule.
Freebird rule. Exactly. Secondly, I think we both have a bit of a crazy side, and I think we do some crazy stuff in there. And I want to do some crazy things in that ring. So that's another thing. Secondly, I want to have a match with Jordan Carlisle. I've always vibed with that guy a lot. I love that guy. I just want to wrestle him. There's not really much to it. I just want to wrestle him and see.
Yeah, you know, I'll second that.
And then obviously singles matches against Brox and Troy and them. Just beat them up more because I love beating those guys up. For outs, a little bit more on the outside. There's too many. There's too many good people out there to wrestle. FTR is they're just.
It's a good answer.
They're so great
right now. They're the team out there.
They're the tag team, exactly. And it's just like imagine just testing your abilities against those guys. And Aussie Open, as Tim mentioned earlier, those are also one of my favorite tag teams out there right now. And yeah, that's bad. For those guys, that'd be the big ones.
So storylines, what do you guys like that's going on in wrestling, and how much of the big shows, you know, Impact and AEW and WWE, throw in NWA and all that, how much do you get to watch and enjoy? Because we're all fans before we get into the business. How much can you enjoy wrestling right now? Can you shut off your brain and say, man, this was a great match? Or are you picking it apart going, oh, Dax, you kind of messed up a little bit. And if you're calling out Dax, you should probably get punched in the face.
Yeah.
But that was just on my head. So how much can you enjoy it? How much you rip it apart? And how much do you watch, essentially?
I watch quite a bit. I try to keep up with what's happening WWE, AEW, ROH by extension, and New Japan's probably the biggest one for me. I'm a big New Japan fan. I like Japanese wrestling in total, but the one I consistently watch is New Japan. I think doing wrestling has made me enjoy wrestling more. I know some people might say that's an interesting take.
I've never heard that. Honestly, I've never heard that.
Because now it's taken it from, because I'm still able to enjoy it. I just have that ability. It doesn't matter. I'm still able to enjoy it. But at the same, after enjoying it once, I can watch it again and understand it at a deeper level. I can understand what they're doing, why they did these things in the ring, how they structured it, why they structured it that way. It made me appreciate it even more as a fan, which I know it's a weird, a lot of people say that it ruins it for them, but it doesn't for me. I enjoy it more.
You know, honestly, this is going to be a theme, but I'm playing off of Chris here. You know, like
we're a tag team.
You two are so much alike that it's sickening. But
it is sickening.
It is scary. It is scary.
There's times
at each other.
There's times where we'll look at each other and be like, and we'll say the exact same thing at the same time, and it's just like, well, this is why. This is why.
We are brothers. We are brothers.
Yeah. But it's with Chris, how he said, you know, being a professional wrestler made me just like professional wrestling more. You know, it's like understanding storylines a lot better, understanding just match psychology a lot better. There's times in matches I'll be like, oh, you messed that up. I can just tell, you know, but like, I think that's a thing that when you get in this business, you can't stop like pointing out.
Yeah.
But it's like storyline wise, I haven't been caught up very much with wrestling. Like, I think the last bit of wrestling media that I have paid attention to was when Brock Lesnar F5 Cody. You know, like that was.
So it's at least recent. It wasn't like 6 months ago. It's SummerSlam, something like that. Okay.
But I really pay attention to old school wrestling a lot more. Like I'll sit here in my living room and I'll just turn on the network and watch old ECW pay-per-views. And Chris will get notifications on his phone of like 10 videos of me just commenting on these matches. It's like I want to do that.
You've been big on old ECW recently.
I've never gave it much attention until very recently, just because of the sheer amount of talent that their tag teams have.
First and foremost, old ECW. We're talking prior WWE ECW.
Yes.
You guys weren't around. Let's just throw it out there. You guys were not around when
I was not born. Neither of us were born.
Yeah. So to go back and watch that's awesome. You're right, because again, the Dudleys, Sabu and RBD, and the franchise, and Bigelow and Candido, like, who are some that you're really transitioning and watching right now? Because ECW still doesn't get there's a crazy nut, what is the word I'm thinking of? Group that still loves it from Philly and all over, but it still didn't make its way to California, and it wasn't national. It was very much us on Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. You know, us were ECW. Over there, they didn't know it. So, who are you watching, essentially, is what I'm mumbling to get to.
Just, like, I hate to just bring up the Eliminators again. Just their Perry Saturn, Cronus, just absolutely freakishly athletic. They're big guys. I never realized how big guys.
Yeah.
Cronus can do, like, Cronus's finisher was a 450. I can't think of another 265-pound guy today who can do a 450 so clean and concise. There's, with tag teams, wow, I'm blanking. Just Incredible Lance Storm. Just absolutely. Lance Storm is a fantastic. Let's see. There was BWO. I gotta love BWO. As much as they get hated on for not being workers, they absolutely have put.
Without them, a lot of storylines couldn't have continued, though.
Yeah. Exactly. With Raven, Tommy Dreamer, just all that. Like, they were a huge part of ECW in general. And whenever Stevie left, it kind of went down, but gotta love the Blue Meanie and Nova. Just, Nova's a fantastic guy himself. Blue Meanie can take a mean-ass bump. I mean, he's just gotta love them all.
Have you guys ever met him?
I have not.
He is an amazing human being. He'll come at you. I've met him a couple times at cons and other shows that he does. He comes at you hard at first, and then you're thinking like, oh my God. And then he snaps like he's a goddamn lunatic and just laughs at you, and you're like, oh, I'm just kidding. Like, he's a cool guy. I hope you guys get to meet him.
I hope so too. He seems like a great guy.
Well, for ECW, if we're going to keep the ECW talk going, outside of the tag, because he kind of mentioned all the tag teams already, like, outside of the tag teams, it's RVD and Taz. Those are the two big ones, you know, just that. Being a Japanese guy, this is more on Taz side. Being a Japanese guy, I love those two. And even Taz, I love big, or just strong dudes suplexing people, hitting them real hard. I love those type of wrestlers.
You love big meaty
men slapping meat. Exactly.
My favorite types of wrestlers are like that. And Taz is he's just so he's underrated.
He's a freak.
It's crazy that people haven't watched Prime Taz enough to just see how great he was. Even Prime RVD a little bit. Everyone sees WWE RVD, and he was great there, but ECW RVD,
phenomenal.
He's a different breed.
He is a different breed. There's feuds in ECW that I would love to replicate one day, but just in the tag team sense of like Mike Awesome, Masato Tanaka. Me and Chris just gush over Mike Awesome all day, every day, because rest in peace, Mike.
Also rest in peace, yes.
He's a freak of nature.
Another
in the
man doing
best way.
He should not have been doing.
Exactly. Of course not. There's one clip that I always remember from ECW One Night Stand. The first one is where Mike Awesome picks up Masato Tanaka, throws him over the top rope through a table, and Masato Tanaka is just laying there selling for a minute. The camera doesn't cut; it's just stuck on Tanaka, and all you see is Mike Awesome's 6'7" frame go over the top rope and springboard, lands on him, and then they pin on the outside. Dead. They're like, Dead. "Yeah, this is it. This is it. We're going home."
Besides ECW, do you guys go back and watch anything like prior to Attitude Era or anyone who was like WWE Classic or the New Era or anything?
I mean, guys like Bret Hart, Owen Hart, those guys were Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels were the big guys from that era that I consistently go back and watch a lot. That WCW period too, the classic Ric Flair matches. That was a little bit before that, but still.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, there's this classic, the technical guys from WCW, that was a good period for technical wrestling. That was when it was really at its big peak, and then those were the guys
Regal and Fit Finlay killing each other for 15 minutes.
I do watch, this is it's early 90s. It's All Japan.
Yep.
I love Kings Road style is stuff I consistently go back to. Those guys were beast. They were big meaty men slapping meat for 50 minutes every night, and it was amazing. And they just put on classic after classic after classic, and it was the most stacked roster, I think, in maybe wrestling history. Is that early 90s All Japan when they had the Four Pillars, Stan Hansen, Vader. All those guys. Gary Albright, who's the most underrated wrestler at that time.
The most underrated member of the Anoa'i family, by the way.
Yeah.
I love that little notion. Yeah,
he is really his. They're like, wait, he was part of that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was part of it. He was married in, but then again, he was just a humongous man.
Aiden English is the part of the Guerreros. Who's also good. He's underrated.
Stretching, but okay. Yeah. How did you, Chris, get so much on Japanese wrestling? Because listen, where you are, it's not knocking down the door. How did you find? I know you're going to say the internet, but how did you stumble upon the internet, or did a buddy show you or something?
It was specifically the Okada Omega match at Wrestle Kingdom 11 back in 2017. Because again, the internet. Talked about that match a lot, and I was like,
that's the only thing you saw for a year.
Yeah, for a long time. And it was just, that's kick the door, It's just I saw that and I was like, whoa, what is New Japan? I've never really paid attention to this. And then I went from that, I watched that match, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Then I went from that match to just watching more New Japan matches. Then I heard about Noah, and then I watched mid-2000s Noah, and then it just kept kind of going backwards from there. I was like, oh, All Japan, who's this Kenta Kobashi guy? I'm gonna go watch him. and then I just jumped around everywhere from there. I was like, whoa, this is, and it's just up my alley. I love it. My favorite wrestler of all time is Hiroshi Tanahashi.
That's an alright guy. He's alright. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hold on. You guys both brought up the network a couple times. What territory? Keep it in America, Chris. Keep it in America.
I'll keep it in America.
What territory could you see either combined you guys work? Because I already have one in my head. That I think you guys would have run amok in, or if it was there. What territory do you think you would run amok in, or which one do you want to work in? What territory did you really love back in the day? Then I'll give you mine.
I'm going to say Smoky Mountain.
Yeah.
I'm reading your notes.
That's exactly
Bobby Blaze.
Bobby Blaze was there.
He's training.
You gotta love Fabulous Bodies. The Thrill Seekers got their start. Jericho, Lance Storm. It just absolutely stacked. It's just a huge amount of talent in Smoky Mountain. There was a lot in Florida Championship back when it was still a territory, not developmental for WWE. Okay. But it was there was Magnum who was there, who I think that I guarantee he would still be working if not for the accident. Like 100%.
I do too. He would have. I'm not saying he would have taken over what Ric Flair is, but he would have knocked on the door really freaking close. Like he had a rocket strapped to his ass. You really did.
He was the guy.
Yeah.
Another mention is Texas, the Von Erichs Freebirds. That was the big one. Yeah. Those guys. Just being a part of that mix would have been crazy.
That would be crazy. God. Ooh.
Yeah.
Classics.
That's nuclear heat on either side. I mean, if you join either side, it's just going to be a pain in the ass, in a good way. A pain in the ass in a good way.
In a great way, yeah. And money just to be made. Exactly.
I can feel the dollars just in my pockets just growing.
Do you think, and I'm a strong advocate for it, do you think the territories would work today?
It's interesting because indie wrestling kind of is territories in a interesting sort of way. It is. I think
let me jump in real quick. Because down in like Tennessee, Kentucky, you have that whole like OVW era.
Yes.
Up here, there's 3 or 4 that kind of work together in Pennsylvania, so that's a little territory. Same thing over where you guys are. So there are little territories. I'd love to see like all of them massively come back together. Sorry.
With their big with TV deals, and you get to just have more access to all that. Like the big thing with territories is each territory had like a really big star in it.
Yes.
And at least one huge guy in every territory. You can go back and look at it, and it's just like having that kind of spread out. Like I don't know, having so many promotions all doing crazy and just so much wrestling. More wrestling is always a good thing. So I think territories would be amazing. Because everybody would have what they want, and there's just more opportunities for amazing wrestling to be shown on a large scale, and that's
I fully agree. It's like with territories, I feel like it could work if it was done right.
Right, you need the right people.
Yeah, of course.
The ways. Yeah, you can't have like Joe Blow running Florida and Georgia.
Yeah.
It's like there's definitely got to be a face, like not in the working sense, like a face being we need somebody to base this around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was like there's got to be a Dusty, there's got to be a Rick, there's got to be a Magnum, there's got to be a High Chief. There's got to be that guy. There's
the Von Erichs, the Arrows as we transition over that side. Yeah. Yep.
There's got to be that guy, that few people that just everybody's just, these guys are wrestling gods. Look up to these guys. They're local gods is what I'm trying to get at without being them gods,
Right. I'd like to know the best advice you both got solely. Like somebody came up to you, Chris, and somebody came up to you, Tim, as we transition here a little bit more. What was the best advice you got behind the curtain from, if you want to give a shout out who gave it to you, that's cool. If not, if you want to keep it in your pocket, that's all right. But there's one advice that you both kind of like say, holy hell, that has just changed me in wrestling.
Mine, slow down and listen. Just keep your ears open to whatever it's listen to more advice. Always listen to advice. It's slow down. If someone says something to you, take it and think about it. Don't just disregard it because you're like, oh, again, it comes back to the ego thing that I said earlier. It's just don't have an ego ever. Just when someone says, here, you can do this better, think about what they're saying and say, okay, can I actually do this better? What do I need to do this better? And that's,
for mine, I think it was just work the crowd. Either go out there and make them hate you or just walk out of the curtain and they'll just hate you. Yeah. If they don't boo you, this is just, I can't remember exactly who told me this. I just know that somebody symbiotic told me personally, which is a weird kind of backwards thing to say, but no, it was mostly
It makes sense on Can Crushers. It does.
Yeah. I promise you I'm not inebriated.
I'm getting it now.
But they go, if you walk out of the curtain and they hate you, then make them hate you more. Yeah, you've done your job. Now make them hate you more. Mm-hmm. And if they start liking you, make them hate you.
And I hope they don't start liking you over this podcast, because we need to make you heels again. You guys are dirty son of a bitch and bastards that are sexier than all hell. But I'm going to spin this one more time. You have a little kid that is a bastard child that loves heels. And I'm saying this nicely. A bastard child that loves heels from the age of 6. And he gets you guys in the corner and says, I want to be like you guys when I grow up. What do you tell them? Because normally heels don't. You just tell the kid to go F off or something like that. But listen, it's a day of you should at least take care of the youngers that want to be in wrestling now.
Yeah. There is a story that is kind of along with this message at the end of it. Our first big FTC show, we had done our match, and it was intermission, I think afterward. And so we went out there with the heels. We had the heels on one side, we had the faces on the other side, just doing their thing, selling their merchandise. And we were just sitting there, and these kids walk up to us, and I go, hey, can you autograph our shirt? I go, why, yeah, I can. But just make sure you give it to your mom, because I'm going to put my phone number on the back of it.
Nice. Classic.
And it was just, there was a bunch of people. There was a bunch of kids, to be just completely blatant, just trashing us. There was one specific kid, just one, that was just tearing into us every chance he got, every time he looked at us. But it was kind of like a humbling thing. It was like, I know that either they're going to take this super seriously or they're not. So I'm going to give them what they want, but I'm going to do it in a dickish way. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. I don't want to do it the way that you want to do it. It's like, sign my shirt. Okay, I'll put my phone number on the back of it. Can you take a picture with me? Sure. What's your mom's phone number? And have her send it to me. You know, like, it's just that, you know, we'll work the way that we work in the ring, you know, like, I feel like working people in, like, just directly in front of you is a lot harder than working people while you're in the ring. You know, you got to learn how to just talk to people and work people like that, even if they're not, you know, fully people yet, like they're kids. So you just make fun of kids.
That's the thing too. It
is.
I mean, I hate to say the kids are easiest target in professional wrestling, but they are.
Yeah.
And if anybody takes it to heart, a kid does. If you make a kid cry,
I'm doing my job right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You took him to a wrestling show.
Or the bad parent.
Yeah, you're the bad parent.
Keep coming, though. Keep spending your money. Keep coming.
Yeah, of course. Exactly. Keep coming to get my ass kicked.
So what's on the docket for you guys here in the near future? How much more are you going to beat up Brox and Titan and the rest of the organization? What match you have come up? Promote yourself with that. Do you have merch? Where can we buy merch? All of that. Give your socials.
Well, here, I'll give you my socials. Mainly, you can find us both on Facebook. Look us up. You know our names: Chris Ringrose, Timothy Flowers. Look us up on Facebook. That's our primary social medias. I have an Instagram. You can just look up my name as well.
I also have an Instagram.
We don't have merch, and we don't know what our next match is. Hopefully, it is getting to beat up Brox and Troy more, or just anybody really. It doesn't matter. We'll beat them up.
Look damn good doing it.
I've been working on a logo, so working on it. Especially once school's done, I'll definitely have that done, and we'll figure that out from there. And then we'll probably get some merch out from there.
Look at you slacking. We need to get money,
I'm not
Chris.
slacking. I'm not slacking. Sexy ass brain got to be smart.
Tension. The school thing's getting in your way of professional wrestling, Chris. I think you need to drop out or something. No, I'm kidding. Do not.
I got a scholarship. I got to take
kids
advantage
listening
of
to
it.
this, make sure you go to school, graduate, do all that stuff. Do not drop out of school. Jesus Christ, Mark. Did I forget anything? Do you guys want to bring anything else up? What else do you want to talk about?
I'm not sure. Anything
you want to talk about?
Yeah, anything honestly you have in mind. We're all ears and all mouths. So, I mean.
Well, let's transition a little bit to, because I'm a huge AEW fan right now. I really am. How much AEW do you like? What do you like going on in AEW? And I said, that should be one of your steps, pushing yourself to dark or something. How are you going to get there? What storylines? All of that. Let's just talk AEW. What do you like?
Well, obviously the Elite and everything going on with those guys. I think they're all amazing. Quite frankly, I think they're all good. Like fantastic storytellers, fantastic wrestlers. Again, that comes from the Japan love.
Yep.
And those guys carried over, and a lot of that is there. I mean, MJF. I mean, who doesn't just look at MJF and say, man, that man's good at what he does?
Do you think he drops the title to one of the other pillars soon?
No, I think MJF holds it a while, to be honest. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say the other pillars are not ready for it.
We've said it a million times on the show, so you can jump on board on that.
Okay, then I will jump on board. You know what? I don't think they're ready. I'm not huge on Jungle Boy and Sammy. I love Darby Allin. I think he's insane in the best way possible for a wrestler to be insane, but probably not world title yet. I think he better be a world champion at some point, in my opinion, because I think
at some point.
Not yet,
but at some point.
All of them, I think, will have a case at some point, and I think Jungle's the last of them.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Jungle Boy, I mean, there's a lot of people that I'm friends with that watch wrestling, and they just go, I can't see the appeal, like I can't see what everybody is into him for. He seems just generic white meat babyface, but he's a great worker.
He's a shtick though right now because of the song. He needs to drop. He just needs to be Jack Perry and be badass essentially. Because Pittsburgh last week when we were all Dynamites, we all sang for him. But once the match started, everybody was like, all right, now what? What do you guys like on the women's side across the board on anything? Because we're huge advocates on – I love the word advocate, by the way, today. I don't know why. But we're huge advocates on here on women's wrestling. I'll bring it to New Japan right out the bat. I love what Mercedes Moné is doing. I can't wait till she gets back stateside and does crazy shit over here.
Yes.
But still a Brit fan. Wish Thunder would get her shit together and her back straight, and she comes back because – I think they carried AEW in the pandemic term.
Yes.
I want Bayley out of WWE so she can do more. Where are you guys going with the women?
I mean, for WWE, I think the big thing for me is WWE has so many underutilized talents in the women's division, in my opinion. Just Io Sky is way too good. Bayley's way too good. I think. As much as I love Trish, I don't think Rhea should be. Or who's she feuding with now? I don't even remember.
Trish, I think she's
Becky. And still, I don't think Trish should be in a big.
That's a SummerSlam match coming up. We know that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like those guys. You have some of the best talent in the world, and they can clearly showcase they're some of the best talent in the world. Look at WrestleMania, the two excellent women matches that took place there. They should
fantastic.
be. It should be those. There should be 6 women's wrestlers like Charlotte, Rhea, Bianca, Io Sky, Bayley, Becky. Those guys, they should just be wrestling each other forever and just putting on excellent matches all the time. But not sometimes they just get muddled in weird feuds and storylines.
Horrible storyline.
Lita being a tag team champ, I love Lita and I love not in 2023.
It's one of those things where it's just like. It's like the one promo that I've have paid attention to that Trish has put out is, she goes, "I am not a nostalgia act." And I'm like, I hate to like burst the bubble. Trish is by far, if not the most successful, well, not like successful, but most influential. That's the word I'm looking for. Most influential women's wrestler to come from that era of just women's wrestling. It was like...
Of bra and panties.
Yeah, bra and panties, exactly. Yeah. It was mostly just that. And I mean, the first ever women's main event on Raw was Lita and Trish for the title, and it was a fantastic match. But that was, 05?
20 years. Let's round.
20, around 20 years ago. And I get it that these women are very influential, like Lita, like Trish, but I think we need more of the new breed to come in. And it's weird to call Becky, Charlotte, Bianca new breed. I mean, they've been here for a long time. They're all fantastic. I'm not trashing them in any way, any shape, any form. They are all some of the most talented athletes in the world. And it's like, I think we just need fresh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because, I mean, just look at Rhea and Charlotte at WrestleMania. That was by far
the match of the weekend for me.
Definitely match of the night for that night specifically. It was a fantastic moment for Rhea being heel. For being in a heel faction, being the best face out of that faction. And Charlotte coming out just the biggest heel in women's wrestling.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it either, because it's like Rhea is fantastic. By far, just one of the top tier stars that WWE has today.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And she needs her time in the spotlight. And I feel like I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. I
think she needs to ride solo and kind of get away from Judgment Day and run a through the division. Mm-hmm. It needs to be a long title reign for her, deservedly, and just show what she can do.
Mm-hmm.
She can just power through the entire division, even people they can call up.
Yeah.
There's just people in NXT that they're beyond ready to come up to the main roster, but
they're going to get lost in the shuffle. And
exactly.
I will so say Gigi and JC Jane, I'm ready for them to come up.
Yeah.
They're not going to be – listen, we almost need – we might get some heat here. We almost need a little bit of retiring from maybe the four horsewomen. And I'm not saying we want Charlotte out or anybody like that, but
a little bit less focus.
Transition them to Legends role, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
It's like what John Cena's doing. I'm not going to say that John Cena is like, I don't know. It's
just less focus away from them, more on these up and coming Rhea,
the up and coming people.
You have Rhea and Bianca. You could build a promotion around those two. Honestly,
right.
Yeah. And with Asuka's definitely just
Asuka
there right now.
Asuka's fantastic. Asuka's fantastic. Io Sky's fantastic. I think she's one of the best female wrestlers on the planet right now, and she doesn't have the proper what's that word? The proper way to show it.
She doesn't have a storyline.
She doesn't have a storyline. She's just been
a storyline right now.
She's just lost in the shuffle, like you said, with Dakota Kai, who is also just fantastic. It's just there's so many storylines happening at once that I think it's really slowing everything down.
Yeah, it's weird.
Too many on a roster can hurt that.
Yeah.
I think it's too many and then underutilizing the ones that you should be using, and it's this whole thing.
Agree.
It's just one big.
Shouts out to Jamie Hayter though.
Yeah.
Just like Jamie Hayter.
We never mentioned her name when the AEW came up. but
We should have. Yeah, she's just freaking champion.
She's carrying the division right now.
Cargill too. I will throw.
Oh, yes.
You know, yeah.
It's
Who's
almost
gonna
time
beat
for her to
her?
get into the main focus of wrestling too, instead of just beating up Red Velvet and Anna Jay and all those again. She needs to step it up to the main part of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's, you know,
That's all I really got.
Yeah.
I mean, we
We could talk forever, probably. Yeah.
Talk wrestling, and I mean, I want to invite you guys back on whenever you guys want to come back on. Always welcome to come back on.
Whenever you're available, we'll be here.
Talk wrestling. Talk about winning these tag titles. Talk about running amok wherever you guys go. Bringing up the seduction section. I'm getting 10% of that, by the way.
Okay. Got you.
Bringing up the seduction section.
Just send me the papers.
I will. We'll sign them.
I'll rip them up.
Okay.
You got Mark Sterling as your lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Guys,
sure I can get him.
It's been a blast tonight. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on. It's been a blast to be here. Mm-hmm. I'm Loverboy Timothy Flowers.
And I'm Dashing Chris Ringrose, and we are the sexiest tag team in professional wrestling, the Brothers of Seduction.
And you're listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, I told you, seductive, sexy, and everything in between, the Brothers of Seduction. What a wonderful interview with these two young men. They're already invited back. They can come on and back and talk wrestling whenever they want. Loverboy Timothy Flowers, Dashing Christopher Ringrose. Man, the knowledge they have, first and foremost, of wrestling is cool. We could just sit down and talk wrestling. We don't have to talk about them. We don't have to talk about me. We definitely don't have to talk about Brox or Titan at all. We can just talk wrestling and be really cool and just have a wonderful show for you talking tag team wrestling. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe I come back and we just rip down tag teams with the Brothers of Seduction, because that would be so much fun. Just their strengths and weaknesses, and I'd bring some old school ones in that they don't know about when they weren't born yet. We'll talk about some New Japan stuff. Man, this was fun. I love the interaction between both of them, the whole interview, because you just found out about them and you just know what make them tick and why they love this business so much. And man, they both got great heads on their shoulder. They really do. Knowing the politics and egos don't fit into professional wrestling, that's really cool. And their goals, I love their goals are, we've heard it from a couple other people a couple of months ago, that Rome wasn't built in a day. So baby steps for them, for the Brothers of Seduction, because they know, okay, take over one territory, then get this whole seductive section going, and then move along. I really do think this is going to be a team in the next, 6 months to a year and a half. You're going to see them pop up on Dark, and that's going to be so cool because they're good. They really are. And the things that they do, I love them. Man, we could have talked so much more wrestling. But again, we keep these about an hour and a half or so to want you to want more, to be more seductive with the brothers. So, Timothy, Chris, thanks again for coming on the show. It was a blast. We'll schedule again. Guys, remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.